Hello, and welcome to the one-year anniversary episode of Relaxing Facts. It has been an amazing first year as a podcast. My name is Chad Kay, and today I will be talking about Alexander the Great. Each week, I share interesting stories and little-known facts on a variety of topics, accompanied by gentle, soothing music. My goal is to help you find a sense of calm during your busy day. Feel free to settle into a cozy spot and let yourself be carried away by these relaxing facts. Alexander the Great is one of the most famous and fascinating figures in history. In just over a decade, he built an empire that stretched from Greece to Egypt and all the way to India. His story is filled with ambition, intelligence, bravery, and, at times, controversy. Even today, more than 2,000 years later, his life continues to capture the imagination of people around the world. Alexander was born in 356 BC in the Kingdom of Macedon, a powerful region just north of Greece. His father, Philip II of Macedon, was a skilled military leader who transformed Macedon into a dominant force. His mother, Olympias, was deeply religious and believed her son was destined for greatness. Together, they shaped Alexander's early sense of identity, which was rooted in both power and purpose. From a young age, Alexander showed unusual confidence and intelligence. One famous story tells of how he tamed a powerful horse named Bucephalus. While others saw the horse as uncontrollable, Alexander realized it was frightened by its own shadow. By calmly turning it toward the sun, he managed to ride it successfully. This moment impressed his father, who reportedly told him that Macedon was too small for his ambitions. Alexander's education also played a major role in shaping who he would become. He was taught by the great philosopher Aristotle, who introduced him to a wide range of subjects, including science, medicine, and philosophy. Aristotle also encouraged a love of Greek culture and literature. Alexander especially admired the hero Achilles from Homer's Iliad, and he carried a copy of the poem with him on his military campaigns. This mix of education and inspiration helped create a leader who is both thoughtful and bold. At the age of 20, Alexander's life changed dramatically. His father, Philip II, was assassinated, and Alexander became king. Many doubted that someone so young could hold on to power. Almost immediately, rebellions broke out among the Greek city-states that had been under Macedonian control. But Alexander acted quickly and decisively. He crushed the uprisings and re-established his authority. One of his most dramatic actions was the destruction of the city of Thebes, which served as a warning to others not to challenge him. With his rule secure, Alexander turned his attention to a much larger goal: conquering the massive Persian Empire. At the time, it was the largest empire in the world, ruled by Darius III. Most people would have considered such a goal impossible, especially for a young king with a relatively small army. But Alexander believed he could succeed. In 334 BC, he crossed into Asia Minor with around 40,000 soldiers. His first major battle came at the Battle of the Granicus. Despite facing strong Persian forces, Alexander led a bold attack and won. This victory opened the door for further advances into Persian territory. The next major confrontation came at the Battle of Issus. Here, Alexander faced Darius III directly. Although the Persian army was much larger, Alexander used clever tactics and strong leadership to defeat them. Darius fled the battlefield, leaving behind his family. In a surprising move, Alexander treated them with kindness and respect, which helped build his reputation as a noble leader. One of the most difficult challenges Alexander faced was the siege of Tyre, a heavily fortified island city. The city seemed impossible to capture, but Alexander refused to give up. Over several months, he ordered the construction of a massive causeway to reach the island. Eventually, his forces broke through and captured the city. This victory showed not only his determination, but also his ability to solve complex problems. After Tyre, Alexander moved into Egypt, where he was welcomed as a liberator rather than a conqueror. While there, he founded the city of Alexandria. This city would later become one of the greatest centers of learning in the ancient world, home to the famous Library of Alexandria. In 331 BC, Alexander achieved one of his greatest victories at the Battle of Gaugamela. Once again, facing a much larger Persian army, he used brilliant tactics to defeat Darius III. This battle effectively ended the Persian Empire and marked Alexander as the undisputed ruler of a vast territory. But Alexander was not satisfied. He continued pushing eastward into Central Asia and eventually into India. These campaigns were extremely difficult, involving harsh conditions and unfamiliar terrain. Despite this, Alexander continued to win battles and expand his empire. However, his army began to grow tired. After years of constant fighting and traveling thousands of miles from home, the soldiers reached a breaking point. When they arrived in India, they refused to go any farther. For the first time, Alexander had to give in to his troops' wishes. He agreed to turn back, marking the end of his eastward expansion. Alexander's leadership style was one of the key reasons for his success. He fought alongside his soldiers and shared in their hardships, which earned their loyalty. He was known for his courage and willingness to take risks. However, as time went on, he also became more unpredictable. The stress of constant campaigning and the pressures of ruling such a large empire may have contributed to changes in his behavior. In some cases, he acted harshly or impulsively, even harming those close to him. In 323 BC, Alexander returned to the city of Babylon. There, at the age of just 32, he suddenly fell ill and died. The exact cause of his death remains unknown. Some historians believe it was due to disease, while others have suggested poisoning. Whatever the cause, his death came at the height of his power. One of the biggest problems Alexander left behind was the lack of a clear successor. Without a strong leader to take his place, his empire quickly began to fall apart. His generals, known as the Diadochi, fought amongst themselves for control. Over time, the empire was divided into several smaller kingdoms. Even though his empire did not last, Alexander's impact on the world was enormous. He spread Greek culture, language, and ideas across a vast region. This blending of cultures became known as the Hellenistic Age, a period that influenced art, science, and philosophy for centuries. And that brings us to the end of this week's talk. Thank you for being here for our one-year anniversary episode. If you enjoyed this episode of Relaxing Facts, then please subscribe and leave a comment. Let us know how we're doing. I hope you have a wonderful day, whether you're taking a moment to unwind or just simply enjoying some calming listening. Thank you very much for being here. I'm Chad K. I look forward to seeing you next time. Goodbye.